It's Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. Please make sure to like this video, share this video, and please make sure to subscribe to this channel. It means so much. I want to get right into it today, and I printed out some articles, made a few notes. I'm going to be all over the place here, nothing in order, but all this I think is very, very important to be talking about. I read an article earlier today, and it was talking about denial. And we really need to stop denying what is happening all around us right now. People are denying things that they're seeing take place every day, and they're denying reality. And in my opinion, it is time to stop denying what we're seeing. It's time to adapt to what we are seeing and stop believing in fantasies. Too many people are believing in fantasies that everything's going to get fixed, the entire economy is going to get fixed, what we're seeing take place in society is going to get fixed. This is not going to get fixed anytime soon. We've got to stop believing in these fantasies. We've got to stop with the denial. We need to start adapting to what is really happening around us. You know, people think that the rot is not going to reach them. Think again, ladies and gentlemen, this rot is reaching everybody now. It's reaching you financially, it's reaching you through society, it's reaching you in multiple different ways, yet people just want to deny what is happening all around them. You know, the more profound and serious the issue, the more stubborn and the more denial we see. You know, you can talk to your friends, you can talk to people you know, your neighbors, relatives, and you know, when you challenge these people, they become defensive, they become angry. They don't have the answers because they're in denial. They are living in a fantasy. They don't want to be challenged. They don't want to be asked questions. They don't want you to pop their little bubble. Denying reality does not make the threat go away. In fact, it magnifies the risk of collapse. And so for those people out there, and I'm sure that 4 or 5 of them will comment down below and tell you and I that the economy is just doing fine, that this is fear, this is doom and gloom. These are the people who are in 100% pure, unadulterated denial. These are people living in fantasy land. These are people who believe in Santa Claus. The reality of it is that this economy is collapsing right before your very eyes. You're watching society collapse right before your very eyes. And you can sit around and deny it and do nothing about it, or you can prepare. Denial is not being able to tell yourself the truth. It's tough sometimes to tell yourself the truth. It's tough sometimes to admit the truth. It's tough to have to prepare for what's coming. It's tough to have to explain this to your family, to explain this to your kids about what's coming, the dangers that are here right now knocking at the door. But if you do not admit what is going on right now, you won't be taking action. And the people who are not taking action right now are the most unprepared people. And they're going to be the most unprepared people when this tsunami hits. It's going to be societal, it's going to be economical, and it's going to be spiritual, ladies and gentlemen. Getting into some of the news today, this first one on Fox Business. Housing starts unexpectedly plummet to lowest level since 2020. Housing starts tumbled 11.3% last month. We are beginning to see more and more cracks in the dam. I looked at bankrate.com, a 30-year fixed mortgage, 7.55%. Home builders cannot buy down mortgage rates forever because this is going to continue to cut into profitability. So we're seeing the incentives right now. We're seeing them buy down mortgage rates to buy these new homes. But how long will this last? I don't think it's going to last much longer. And I think we're going to come to a point where we see a lot of these developments, these new home developments, come to a halt, just stop. We remember seeing this back in 2007, 2008, where things just stopped, came to a standstill. I believe that we're going to see this take place yet again. I think we all have to understand that this economy, this housing market is much worse than what we saw take place back in 2008. People have much more debt. There's much more inflation. The national debt is much, much greater. Just what's happening geopolitically is much more serious than what was happening back in 2008. We have much bigger deficits than we had back then. Real wages are continuing to go down. The average household is in very, very big trouble. This is much, much worse than what we saw in 2008. I don't think we can compare this to 2008. What we should be comparing it to is 1929, because we are heading into a very, very serious Great Depression, ladies and gentlemen. The Wall Street Journal, the Fed's next challenge, $100 oil. Crude prices are up 26% this quarter. Saudi Arabia and Russia are the big winners here. They're making so much money right now. But what we're going to see here is more inflation. As oil prices go up, the price of literally everything is going to go up with it. So my question to all of you is, how is the Fed going to get back to 2% inflation when we are going to see oil prices? I seriously believe by the end of this year, we could see $100+ oil by the end of this year. And who knows where it goes next year. Is it possible we go to $140, $150 oil? It's very possible. But right now, just looking ahead a few months, is it possible we break $100 by the end of this year? I think it's very, very possible. And what is that going to mean? It means inflation is going to continue to go up, and the Fed is going to have a very, very difficult time getting back to 2%, fighting inflation, because the Fed doesn't produce oil. The Fed doesn't price oil. So this is completely out of the control of the Fed. And so I don't know how we're ever going to get back to 2%. We're draining our strategic petroleum reserves. Over 50% of our reserves are drained. Oil price is going to continue to go up. As I'm out today, I cannot believe the price of a gallon of gasoline and what this is doing and the impact it's having on every American, every household here in America right now, every business. Bond yields blasted to 16-year highs. Stocks sink ahead of the Fed meeting. This on the Hedge today. Now, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? This is an interesting one. We still have a very tight labor market. CPI 3.7%. PPI up 0.7%. We have a stock market that's still showing signs of being very, very resilient. It would not shock me to see a 25 basis point hike tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to happen. I do believe that we will get another increase in November. I don't think it's going to be tomorrow. I think the Fed should raise. I think they should raise more than 25 basis points tomorrow, but I don't think they're going to do it. But I think the Fed will come out. I think what we really need to pay attention to is what Jerome Powell says in his meeting tomorrow. And I believe he will come out. He will be somewhat hawkish. They're going to raise rates more. Rates will remain higher for longer. I don't think the markets will like that. But the markets are going to have to wake up here and stop with the hope. Rates are going up. They're going to remain higher for longer. We're going to see a credit crunch here in America, and that's just the way it is. That's just a fact. And the markets continue to deny that. They're denying what Jerome Powell and the Fed are doing and what they're saying. This hopium needs to come to an end. But it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. It would not shock me to see the Fed throw a curveball tomorrow and actually raise rates 25 basis points. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that they're going to hold up. What if inflation continues to go up this month, and we don't have a meeting until November? So if we're at 3.7 right now, the next meeting we could be in the mid-4s or higher. And then the Fed would really have a situation on its hand because it would have to raise more than 25 basis points. So again, we've got the CPI at 3.7. We don't have a meeting in October, but what if October we see inflation continuing to spiral out of control and then we don't have a meeting till November? That would be the next hike. So I don't know. Comment down below. What do you think is going to happen? I think that the Fed is just going to wait and hold off, do it in November, but we shall see. Anything could happen. There is a good possibility that we could get a hike tomorrow. The Hedge. Amazon announces plan to hire 250,000 logistic workers for holiday season. Now, what's interesting is many of the major retailers say that they're going to hire the smallest number of seasonal workers for this holiday season. And it's going to be the lowest amount of workers that they hire since 2008. Macy's, one of those retailers, announcing that. So it's interesting that Amazon's going to hire 250,000 workers. They haven't done it yet. Maybe it's just talk, but 250,000 workers. So according to these numbers, while we're continuing to be a country that is really reliant on all these leisure and hospitality jobs and warehouse jobs, we're going to turn into a nation of delivery workers. A nation of delivery workers. You know, do you remember back in the day when we used to build major cities like New York and Chicago and Los Angeles, and we used to build massive skyscrapers, and these guys would climb up these skyscrapers with no safety gear on and just walk around these things like monkeys and, you know, weld and put these giant bolts together and put these massive steel beams together and build these high rises. We used to build these massive bridges and these massive trains and just all of these gigantic, massive things that used to be built here in America. And now we're going to be a nation of delivery workers, coffee makers, fast food workers. It's really, really sad. And, you know, I was talking to somebody yesterday. We were talking about how here in California, the state is now passing this new law where if you're a restaurant chain and you have 60 locations or more, you're going to have to pay your workers here in California minimum $20 per hour. And that's wonderful. People can make some money, put some gas in the tank. Think about that. You'd have to work now before taxes. Think about how much you'd have to work just to put, you know, gasoline in your car. You're literally going to have to work probably, if you're working one of these jobs now, you're probably going to work an entire day just to fill up your tank here in California. What a disaster. But I was talking to a friend the other day, and he thought it was really good that, you know, people are getting $20 an hour to work at these locations. But, you know, you have to also think at the other end of the spectrum here that, well, if you go to McDonald's, what are you going to be paying now for a Big Mac, fries, and a Coke? Is it going to be $18? So we're all going to pay for this. And where's the breaking point? And it just shocks me that we're paying people now to work in fast food restaurants $20 an hour. These jobs, what most people don't realize or understand is these jobs back in the day used to be for kids in high school, college, retirees, people that just wanted to pick up a few hours, not careers. And now today, we have to pay these people money because they have to live. These were never intended to be careers. Working at Burger King or McDonald's or Taco Bell was never intended to be a career. And so now we're paying people career wages so that because, you know, we want them to eat and you know, pay their phone bills. But these were never intended to be jobs for careers. Again, they were part-time jobs. Usually back when I was growing up, these were jobs where your high school buddies would work. Where you know, retirees would work, where college kids work, not where people that were working these jobs, this was their entire life, their entire career. And so when you begin to make these type of jobs, working in warehouses, working at Taco Bell, McDonald's, careers, and then now we are being forced to pay people these type of career wages. Next, they're going to want full benefits, and then we'll be paying $25 for a Big Mac, fries, and a Coke. So where does it end? You know, we're paying UPS drivers $170,000 a year now, and God bless you if you can get the money. But remember, at the end of the day, it's the consumer who's going to pay for this. It's the consumer who goes into, you know, a restaurant to get a burger who's going to be paying $18. It's, you know, it's going to be you who buys some shoelaces on Amazon. You're going to be paying $15 for the delivery of your shoelaces on Amazon. You know, so, you know, we want everybody to make money, but how about maybe cutting taxes and giving people a bit of a break? How about maybe strengthening the dollar so people actually have purchasing power with their dollars? So I think that would be a better solution, that maybe we stop spending so much, cut taxes, allow people to bring home more money, and then, you know, if we have a stronger dollar, they have more purchasing power. You know, back in the day when minimum wage was, you know, $1.50, people were better off. They had more purchasing power. They lived better when it was $1.50 or $3 or $4. You're paying people $20 an hour now, and they can't get ahead. They cannot save 1 cent of that money. It's not enough. So this is what inflation does to a nation. And soon it'll be, let's pay people at McDonald's $30 an hour, and we're all going to be paying $20, $25 an hour to go out to eat. And then before you know it, we're in Venezuela. We're in hyperinflation. We're beginning to see the beginning stages of what happens to a third world country, or a fall of a first world country into a third world country. And this is very, very alarming. Now, shifting gears here for a minute. Interesting article here. We talked about this yesterday. Apparently, they found the footage of that F-35 where the pilot ejected. The plane took, you know, was flying for an entire day or whatever, and we couldn't find the plane. So now they can find you on your phone. We have all this GPS. We have satellites. They can find anything, and yet this plane went missing for literally an entire day. Well, lo and behold, they seem to have found it. Supposedly, the stealth fighter was found in Williamsburg County, South Carolina. I believe that was this morning. So the first question is, why did the pilot eject, or why was the pilot ejected? There's a lot of unknowns here, and please comment down below. It's very interesting. And I tie this into what the basic hijacking of Las Vegas, right? So we've seen what's going on in Vegas, Caesar's Palace, MGM, all their properties basically hijacked, having to pay off the group that basically hijacked these resorts, and paying this ransom in order to have access back to the hotels, access back to their computers. And so I'm tying this in because was what happened with this F-35 a cyber attack? Was it a cyber attack? Was it China flexing its muscles? Another question is that even the wreckage? Is that the wreckage? Did that plane actually fly to Cuba, land there, and now China has the plane? That is a possibility. If that is the plane, if it did crash, what are the odds that this was a cyber attack by another country, maybe China, maybe somebody else, somebody flexing their muscles, ejecting the pilot and then crashing the plane, or ejecting the pilot and basically stealing the plane? So we've seen what just took place in Las Vegas. They hijacked multiple resorts, multiple properties, shut them down. And we know that China developed and sold us a lot of the technology we use in our planes, and they have back doors to all this technology. Many years ago, they said they could literally shut any one of our military planes off in midair and it would just crash. They have the backdoor technology to do that. So this is what happens when you depend on other countries for your technology. And then we're arming our defenses with technology we bought from other countries like China. Extremely, extremely dangerous. Let me know your thoughts on that. Is this plane sitting somewhere else? Did this plane crash? Was it done intentionally, or was it just an accident? Please comment down below. Love to know your thoughts on that. I'm going to wrap it up with these last two articles. The first one coming from the New York Post. Patriots fan dies after getting punched in the face by Dolphins fan. Was a father of two who is now deceased from an incident at Gillette Stadium this past Sunday. Dale Mooney was his name, 53 years old. He took a punch to his face, fell down, hit his head. He's dead. Now, he might have been the instigator here. They said he was being disruptive, but it is shocking what is happening at the baseball games, the football games, and just how extreme people are getting at these games. These are adult. I mean, this guy's 53 years old. These are adults fighting over other adults throwing a ball around. This is, again, when I read stuff like this, absolutely shocking. But this is, again, another example of the breakdown of society. And I bring this up because we're going to see more of this, not just at football games and baseball games, but we're going to see more of it happening. You've seen the crime wave. You've seen the level of violence that's taking place. And, you know, I watch videos out there, and, you know, a lot of people will talk every day about the violence and how bad it's getting, but there's no solution. So you're wasting your time. It's a meaningless video just talking about reporting the violence. The question is now, what do we do about it? What's the solution? How do we deal with the violence? And so my answer to that is, you know, you need to be getting very proficient with tools. You need to be training. You need to be doing jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, one or all. Your kids need to be doing this, because this is the reality of the real world. It's not going to just be at football stadiums and baseball games. We're seeing this at gas stations, grocery stores, at Walmart's parking lots. It's happening everywhere. It's happening just walking down the sidewalk. You could be riding your bicycle and somebody might try to run you over. We need to, number one, be exercising situational awareness. Number one, costs absolutely no money. Everybody can do that right now. You need to be getting proficient with your tools. You need to be training with your hands. And people be like, well, you know, what a waste of time doing jiu-jitsu. Somebody will just pull out, you know, a weapon and you know, that's it. That's not true. You know, you need to realize that if somebody grabbed you, tackled you, got on top of you, how would you get to your weapon? Jiu-jitsu is a great martial art because it allows you to break loose and get some distance, get some space in order to get to that tool, to get to that weapon. And so in a perfect world, yeah, great, you know, I can reach and I'm there. But in an imperfect world where somebody that might weigh 280 pounds jumps on top of me, it's going to be a very, very difficult situation. Now, if you're training jiu-jitsu, you know how to get out of very, very bad places, bad positions, get to that tool. So again, in a perfect world, yeah, you don't need it, but this isn't a perfect world. So you may need jiu-jitsu. You may need some wrestling skills. You may need some boxing skills, because, you know, another thing is too, it may not be a life-threatening situation where you want to use lethal force, right? Maybe the person is just drugged out, drunk, you know, maybe you just need to choke them out or knock them out and that's it. But just going nuclear to the next level and just taking somebody's life, that's going to be a disaster. So having a background in jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai or boxing, something like that, I think is very, very important for many, many reasons. But we can walk around all day and talk about how bad it is. But what's the solution? What are you doing to become the hardest person in the room to kill? What are you doing to put the odds in your favor that if you're in a confrontation, you're going to be able to walk away, that you're going to survive, that you're going to be able to buy some time until maybe the authorities get there? Again, we've got to be talking about solutions, not just walking around talking about how bad it's getting, how scary and how dangerous it is. What are you going to do if somebody put their hands on you or your kids or your wife? Most people would say, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that. They've never been in that situation. They have absolutely no training, and more than likely, they're not going to do anything but wet their pants. This is the time right now to prepare, to put yourself in situations. And the only way to do that is to train those situations right now. At the range, at the jiu-jitsu mat, in a ring, you've got to be dealing with force right now, because most people have never been in an altercation. Most people have never had a stranger put their hands on them or a family member, so they don't know what they would do. And at the end of the day, they're not going to do anything because they don't know how to do anything. How are you going to win a fight if you've never, ever been in a fight? You need to be learning how to fight right now. Here's another one. New York Post. They're laughing. Rogue gang of teens brutally beat gas station clerk in lawless Seattle. A Washington State gas station cashier was pummeled. I watched this video. It was absolutely disgusting. This is a older woman relentlessly pummeled by, they say, a teen. I don't know how old this person was, but it was definitely a male with 4 other youths. So while the one is beating this lady relentlessly, the other 4 are emptying the shelves of candy, vapes, cigarettes. They stole some cash. These losers had no regard for this woman's life. She could have fallen down, hit her head, and she could have been dead also. This is probably somebody's mother, somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, and a adult man, I mean, maybe 17, 18, whatever, beating up a woman who looks like she's probably in her 60s, who had no chance whatsoever, begging that he just stop. She's not going to do anything. And they just find it funny and amusing, just like those losers who ran over that retired police chief in Vegas last month on his bicycle, ran him over and killed him and filmed it and laughed about it. This is the society that we're in right now. It's not coming, it's here right now. This is the society we're dealing with right now, not the society we're going to deal with. It's the one we're dealing with right now. The question is, how much worse is it going to get? And what happens when people get desperate? What happens when these people get hungry? What happens then? So let's stop talking about how bad it is, and let's start talking about solutions, because this is coming to a neighborhood near you. It's probably already happening in your area right now. And quite possibly, it's going to happen to you. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to be one of these people who just chooses to be completely unprepared and just be a victim? Or are you going to be the other person who says, hey, I'm going to get out, I'm going to train, I'm going to work on my skill sets, I'm going to be proficient with my weapon, and I'm just not going to stand there and be a victim and have somebody just take my life and laugh while they do it. Have a great day. God bless.